We've said it before that U Sports can be hard to find. And last week's episode, we got to hang out with some local Bisons on the hockey world. This week, we're jumping to basketball. Welcome to this week's episode of Beers and Beauties.
Doesn't matter if you got Coors, Busch, Bud Light, or local shop's IPA. All beers are welcome at Beers and Beauties, baby. Let's go.
Okay, Addie Miles, I'm back at the bench with you because last week we had too many guests for me to fit around this table.
We were tight.
Yeah, it was a squishy one. We've kind of got to stretch out a little bit here today, but joining us, Sam, I'm going to try it, Onyebuchi.
Yes.
Yes.
You got it.
Local Manitoban and Manitoba Bison who plays some basketball is joining us. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You betcha. Okay, rewind me. We're just going to talk briefly for a second. How was everybody's week?
Week was awesome. It was great, but it was also one of those weeks where, where you're like, you don't remember it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was one thing to the next, but it was like, you're happy along the way. So, know, all is good in the world.
Yeah.
And it was just a super jam-packed week. We had some hockey this weekend, was coaching, and we were back in the old barn.
I know you didn't know, but I snuck out there. I had to plug my ears because I was standing in very close proximity to the Pembina Valley Hawks horn.
Alicia Callison was at the game.
Yeah, I did. So I went home for the weekend. So my sister, which you don't know, my sister has 5 littles. They're all under the age of 7.
Okay.
5 children under the age of 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
7, 5, 3, and 2 little babies. And so I snuck home. And then, so home for me is Surrey, southwest of Brandon. And then I thought, well, heck yeah, Morton's on the way home.
Let's go, baby. Big night.
Super not on the way home. But I made it on my way home. And because of, I think there was a figure skating competition that was going on in Morton. So they had this like extra grandstand things over the bench on not your side.
Yep.
So I couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
So then I ended up standing in the corner and then I forgot the horn was there. And I was like, ooh,
can't forget that
that's
horn.
how you get deaf.
She's a big horn right over your head there.
I know. And then, Sam, I was saying to you that I almost got to a Bison game, which I shouldn't admit that I almost did. Just we didn't schedule our life well enough that we went to a track meet and then we had to get to our nephew's hockey game. So we almost saw, but fill us in. How did the weekend go for you guys?
So it was good. It was our first game back at home. So that was exciting. We were super pumped and everything. Obviously didn't go how we planned, lost both games, but it was a really close game both times. So I think it was pretty good. Just basically, I think we just needed to play 40 minutes completely. That's kind of what we did because it was going back and forth between us and them.
Yep.
But yeah.
So let's talk about the final. Because how many points? 4? 4 point spread?
On Friday it was 4, and then on Saturday it was 10. I'd say.
Still,
but
tight game.
For the one on Saturday though, it was close, and then it was maybe in the last couple minutes where it got to the stretch of 10. So it was pretty close. So very fortunate.
And so was this past weekend your first weekend back? Or is it your second?
It was actually my third. So we played in UNBC against UNBC, and that was my first game back. Yeah. And then last weekend, not the one that would just happen, but we played Brandon, and we won those games, so that was good. And then so this is kind of my third week.
Back.
Tell everybody what you're coming back from.
Yeah. So I tore my ACL and my meniscus. Actually, I tore it last December, not December that just happened, but the one before that. Okay. And then I had surgery last February. Oh, so it's been a year since surgery.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
How were your nerves when you came back?
They were all over the place, honestly.
Excitement level?
I was super excited, but I was also just scared because for me, I was ready to get back. I was just I haven't played a basketball game in a year, right? So I was excited to get back.
Right.
But everybody just had to be hey, you just got to make sure you don't want to have to go through this process again, So that's kind of was tough because I just wanted to go, but I got to realize I'm still recovering as I'm cleared and everything, but you never know.
That's right. So there's so many things that we want to dive in today, specifically on that topic, because there's honestly so much that you've had to go through through that whole year. But bring us back to before that. So you're playing at U of M. Where did you play your high school? Like where was your kind of beginning point, and how did it end up that you ended up a Bison?
Yeah, so I went to, I don't know if you've heard about this school. You knew about Dugald, so maybe you actually yeah. So I'm originally from Dugald, but I went to a French school. So I went to Collège Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Yeah. It's a French school, CPET. It's in Transcona. So I played there. It's not really that sport competitive, but I'd played like Wolves, and I played also like CP, which is now like TAP. It's like a targeted athletic performance. Yeah. So I played that, and that's what kind of like got me introduced, and like how I met Michelle and like all that. So I don't really think it was really with my high school basketball that like got me into that. So
yeah, very cool. We had Amelia Bandman.
Yeah.
On the show. Yeah.
I know her.
Yeah. So she talked really highly of the TAP program.
Yeah, obviously. I really love it.
Yeah.
It was honestly what like got me to where I am today, honestly.
Very cool. I love hearing that.
Yeah, because we didn't have, so the interesting thing, and this is, I guess, one of the fun parts of having a podcast where in some people's ears might think that we favor hockey, and we don't. It's just by nature, we're the most connected in that sport. But talking to people from so many different things, like we've had soccer conversations where there's, you know, the version of TAP for soccer. Okay. And now for us, it was a learning experience with Mia of the TAP program. So it's so fun to see that circle continue.
Yeah. Honestly, like with TAP and everything, I joined it like pretty late with all the people like I know who were into it too. So that's kind of like me too. Like I was all into hockey. I played hockey since I was 5 years old, played till grade 12. So like that's what my family knew. Yeah. So when I like started playing basketball in like grade 7, I really liked it. And my parents were like, okay, you know, we'll try and figure out some programs that you can go to actually like further it, because everything was just hockey for us. So
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That's so interesting. So there was just a point where you were, you know, playing hockey, and then all of a sudden you got a basketball in your hands and you're like, this is it.
Yeah, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. What position were you?
Okay, well, growing up, I was like post. I was kind of the like taller ones out of everybody else. But now that I'm playing like university, I'm like one of the short ones, honestly. Everybody is so tall, but it's okay. So I'm like right now, I would say we call my position like a tweener, because I'm like in between post and a guard. So yeah.
Is this like a technical term?
No, not at all. I think we have to say
right now. Are you a tweener?
Yeah. Is this patent pending of Michelle Sung, or is this like
kind of? I think so. I think we kind of made that up, or I don't know if that's an actual technical term. It's my first time hearing it this year.
Tweener.
Tweener, in between.
We should call Michelle right now. Be like, hey, just a quick question for you.
Tell us more.
Tweener.
Yeah, because like we always have these meetings of like you have your guards and you have your posts and just people that kind of fit into both. So we just like made up a name for it, and I'm in that group. So
I'm digging that.
That is amazing.
It's funny. How tall are you?
5'9".
Yeah. See, and to me, I always wished I was 5'9". She's like, I'm short. Yeah. I'm like, then we're really short.
Well, that was when we went to the U of M to do some stuff with them, because they were great to help us out. Yeah. When I walked in, it was Emerson Martin that was helping us do it, and she's what, 6'1", 6'2". I was like, oh, damn it.
Right?
She's like super athletic, tall. I'm like, okay, I couldn't feel more short in this moment than right now.
That's super funny. Okay, so you obviously you went to, what did you call it? How do you shorten your
CPET?
CPET.
Yeah, that's what we called it.
Did you always want to be a Bison?
I did, honestly. I always wanted to play basketball. My dream when I was younger, I wanted to go into the WNBA, but I mean,
hey,
you know, I mean, I could not.
That's not a dead dream.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if that's my dream still, just because, I don't know. Basketball is a big part of my life, but I think my path is going somewhere else, obviously. So I think, so I knew Michelle and everything, and she got me kind of like introduced into all that. So I think like that just really helped me, because I didn't really know much about basketball beyond like high school or the program that I was in, you know? So it was really nice to see that.
Yeah. And she's always like just that extra little bit of knowledge that's needed to know about the opportunities that are actually available, right? Like it seems like there's when you sit with us and we talk about all these things, because the first thing that jumped into my head when you said, you know, WNBA isn't a career. And I was like, but would you go overseas? Like I immediately went to another opportunity for you. Like, would that be something that you would be into is overseas as well?
I would. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. See,
but
so sick. So
it would be cool. But that's like still like the same thing. I feel like I just don't know like the resources and like stuff like that. So I feel like it's kind of good. Like even this like podcast, you know, so you're like introducing ways and you hear different perspectives of everybody. So I think it's really cool.
It's not a unique position that you're in. We have had a conversation with hockey players already on this show that said the exact same thing. I don't know where to go, what to do next. And I think, you know, that's part of the spirit of what this has become is literally just an information hub of people being able to be connected. We came out of that with connecting, you know, a hockey player with a hockey player who had that experience of overseas. And now I just saw an Instagram post where she won a medal doing something over there. So
that was very cool. Yeah. So when you think about that transition from high school to university, how was training camp? I always love rookie season training camp stories.
It was intense. It was like, okay, so obviously you have your like program and like everybody is kind of like around like the same level, but now you're actually playing with like full grown like women, you know, like people on my team are like 4 years older than me, you know, so it was a lot different. It was tough, but it was just super cool to like have that experience of like everybody else, you know, like get to learn from all these people. Cause I felt like when I was in my program, I was like the oldest ones. So, you know, you don't really get to like see that experience of like, oh, I've been here, I know this. If you have questions for somebody, you have to go to the person that like is older, you know, cause they've lived it. So that was super cool for me.
I love this.
Let's talk about how hard it was. Like, what was the fitness testing like? Like, let's get the nitty gritty on what Michelle did.
Honestly, okay.
Beep
I'm going to go off my memory.
Are we talking beep test and bench or?
No, I wouldn't say beep test. One test that we have started doing though, it's like, okay, this one's really intense. It's, I literally get like PTSD even thinking about it. So it's basically like, it's running and you have to run the length of the gym, like 5.5 times or 5 3/4. So a full like basketball court, you're going there, back, there, and then 3/4 in 36 seconds.
Whoa.
Yes. And we have to pass like a certain amount.
Is this Michelle song patent pending?
That's
right.
Yeah.
That is. That was very definitive. That's so funny.
So what's the law? Do you know the logic of 5 3/4 and the time?
Honestly, no. I just gotta do it when they tell me to.
I just go.
What's your best? Can you do it?
Yeah. So posts are supposed to do 38 seconds. Guards are supposed to do 36. But
tweeners is what?
Tweeners,
37?
I think they just put us in 36. Honestly, they're trying to make us better, you know. So yeah,
can't sneak into that 38.
I tried. Trust me. I was like, I'm a post today. They didn't let me, but it's okay. So I know. Yeah, it's usually like we have to make 6 out of 8 of them. So you have to do it 8 times. It's not just like a one-time thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, 36 seconds of running isn't like.
But when you,
I get
what's
that.
your recovery time in between sets?
Like a minute.
Okay.
So you get
think back to athlete version of you, not today.
No, for sure. Today I'm having palpitations.
Athlete version.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So basically, it's like we split into 2 groups. So the posts and the guards. So then they go, and then your rest time is kind of like when the other team's going, and then also like however much adds up to like a minute, right?
Yeah.
And then we do that 4 times, and then we also have like a shooting drill. You have to do like a certain amount of layups in a certain time, and then you have to do a round of 4 again of the running, and then the next one is like game like shots. So you have to do like your game like shot, and you have to make a certain amount before you can like get out. It's intense. It really is.
That sounds intense.
That does sound intense.
Yeah.
And I love that conversation though of going from a senior in high school to a rookie. Mm-hmm. I loved seeing how, you know, athletes handle that transition because it's huge.
It's kindergarten again.
It's huge. I remember a full on fight.
Oh, me
I remember
too.
a full-on fight when I was in my rookie year, and I was like, whoa, this ain't no joke.
Yeah.
Captain's practices got ugly fast for us.
Yeah, that's right. Captain's practice, I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the States, buddy. Yeah.
Because you can't have your coaches on the ice, and so then you had the quote-unquote leadership scared of the quote-unquote rookies, and it was like literal battle.
Oof. It was like the captains like ran the practice?
Yeah, there's rules, so you can't have your coaches on the ice until a certain point in the year, and so up until then you can have captain's practices that are just run internally of your team. Yeah, but you can't be coached. Your coaches can't even be in the rink.
Yeah.
Wait, why is that?
Just their rules.
It was a rule?
Yeah,
okay.
so you can't, it's not like you could bring everyone in way earlier. It's trying to keep it some parity between programs.
Yeah, so all coaches across the board have their start date.
Yeah.
But depending on what their leadership will do, they can do whatever they want, but your coaches all have their start date. So that's how this kind of captain's practice thing started happening.
Parity there.
So you're in your second year. Mm-hmm. So when you say, so you obviously were out for an entire year. So you're technically in your third. You didn't have to use up that year of eligibility, right?
Okay, so basically I'm actually in my second because I stopped playing halfway through my first year. That's when I got injured. And I used that year of eligibility because if you you have to play a certain amount of games. I think it's 2/3, and I played one. Wait, no, it's a certain amount, and I over exceeded that amount when I played.
Sure.
So then I got hurt, which is unfortunate. Then a year went by, and we're back to right now. Mm-hmm. So I had to have a decision of if I should play or not,
right?
And use up that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for me, I just missed basketball, so I just wanted to get back in there. So
I totally see that.
Yeah. So I started again at the half point mark. So season, you have first half and second half.
Yeah.
So I started at the second half mark, and I think it's a good amount of games to come back at. So technically, I'm in my second year, used 2 years of eligibility, but I played equivalent as 1 year.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, because of the way it ended and then started.
Yeah.
So talk to us about have you ever had any major injuries in your sport life before up until this one?
No, which really sucks. The most I've had was maybe a sprained ankle here and there, but honestly, those compared to this is nothing, right?
That's
so
right.
Even when I did it before in my TAP program and stuff like that, it was nothing compared to I sprained my ankle before in university sport, and it was even way worse. I think it's just the intensity of the game, which makes sense. But yeah, so no major injuries really before this.
And so how was that? Obviously, you're in your rookie year. Mm-hmm. You're jacked to be playing basketball because you love playing. But you can tell. I love this when we have people here because you can see by people's smiles that they love the game they're playing.
Yeah,
so
which
funny,
is the best thing to me. But talk to us about you have this injury. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about that first week, 2 weeks after that sets in.
Yeah.
And what did you experience? What did you go through? And what kind of supports in terms of your teammates and the university helped in that first I have a long recovery here, and now I know my process.
Yeah. So basically, when I tore it first, we were in Saskatchewan, and I didn't really know what it was, obviously. So my athletic therapists that were with us at the time, they kind of did the assessment. They tried to figure out what it was. They thought it was just like a meniscus tear, or something like that. They didn't think it was going to be as drastic. And then I had to go to the doctor, and I think so we have the athletic therapists at the university too, the ones that work there, and they I think had an idea that it was my ACL, but they didn't want to tell me until I went to the doctor.
Sure.
So I went to the doctor. He assessed it, and he said that it was torn. And I wasn't really, because this was my first major injury, I didn't really know what that meant for me, I knew torn ACL was bad, but I didn't think it was this long of a recovery process. So I was kind of obviously I wasn't happy that I was injured, but I had like that little period before I went to the doctor to kind of like, oh, like I'm injured. And then when people kind of told me how long it would be, that's when it like really sunk in. And it was hard, like having to think about like not like playing the sport that like you love, right? And it was really nice having like my teammates, all the support from like the ATs and everything there. And they even made like a whole program before I had my surgery to like work out and strengthen my knee just so it can be back.
Yep.
And I just thought it was really cool because before, if this had happened when I was in like a different program or something like that, like I wouldn't have had all these like resources.
For sure.
And I don't know how I would have went back, you know? Like it was so overwhelmingly like good, as in the process of having everybody help me. Yeah. Like it wasn't just like I'm doing this on my own, you know? So that's what I really liked. Like everybody was just super, super generous with assisting me with it, you know?
That's like the best thing ever, because one of the hardest parts of an injury is you feel alone. You feel like, you know, there's nothing that you can do at this moment. You feel helpless. And then you got a group of people around you saying, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Everything's setting up for you in this way. So walk us through that. Like when you got your program, so you said you had a custom program made for you to help strengthen your knee again, which is very cool. But in the same sense, were you still attending team meetings? Were you still attending team practice? So I guess two parts. Was it like that? Were you still around the team constantly? And then also, how was that mindset of being there and not being able to partake in everything that you see going on around you?
Yeah. So I was basically still going to every meeting, going to every practice, every game, everything, like as I'm still like recovering. And I don't know, it was tough because you see everybody like doing what you wish you were doing, and like just like sitting on the sidelines. Like I've never been like okay doing that. I don't know. So it was tough, but they helped a lot to make me still feel like involved, which was a really big thing for me. And like every little like milestone I got with my injury, they like supported that and like
celebrated.
Yeah. And like, just mentioned it and made me feel like I was like doing something good, you know, that I was doing it with them. So I think that was like a big thing. Sorry, what was your other question?
I guess the mindset piece, you kind of answered both of them in the same thing. Like you were a part of the whole program. And just to go off of what you're saying, like that is incredible to hear that not only was the team still on their progress of, you know, going over everything that they needed to do within season, but they were still celebrating you for your quote unquote season. Right? Like, how unreal is that?
Yeah, it is.
Like,
did you, at what point in your, you know, this healing process, this recovery, you're getting back, strengthening, all of those things, at what, was there a date set? Did you know, like,
when I was gonna be back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, baby, that couldn't have come at a worse time.
Okay, so
getting all super intense.
For those listening, Addie just cracked a beer onto her laptop.
As we're about to ask her the most important question that we wanted to about this whole thing about her recovery time. I didn't get any on you, did I?
No. It's okay.
While we're in the topic, do you need another White Claw?
Sure, I'd love one.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta open it. It opens towards you.
Yeah, it's straight in the door there.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Clean that. Good segue. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so rewind my question again. Do you remember what it is?
I think so. It was, did I have like a certain date of when I was supposed to be back?
At what point in your recovery? Yeah, did you know, like, okay, I know this is the game?
Yeah, so basically for my recovery, after surgery and stuff like that, you have to like hit certain milestones before you can actually like think about coming back.
Sure.
So my like workout program, I had to do like a front squat with like a certain amount of weight or something, you know, or like I have to get all my flexion or extension like fully back and stuff. So it's just stuff like that. There was like dates for those, like, oh, we're gonna test this on this day, or we're gonna test this on this day. But I never really had like a set date of when I was gonna be back, because they always thought like, they'd say like, oh, around this time you're going to be back, because with like evidence of like other injuries and stuff like that. Right. So they always told me like around a time, but they're like, oh, you know, everybody's body's different. You're going to come back when your body's ready.
Yeah. Of course.
So that's kind of what was hard for me though, because I wanted to be like, give me a time and I'll be back, you know? So, and for mine, it was like, I think an ACL is usually like 8 to 9 months post-surgery, you're kind of like back. But for me, my meniscus was also torn, so they had to repair that as well. And so for the first month after surgery, I was on crutches and I wasn't allowed to put weight on my left foot at all. Oh. So it was locked straight in a brace, so like straight the whole month. Oh my God. I had to be on crutches the whole time. So that was a lot. And that kind of set me back too, because I can't start like the training and like building, strengthening it again until I was obviously out of the brace and stuff like that. So so that kind of set me back, and I didn't really know when I was going to be back. People would tell me kind of around a time, but I always try to tell somebody, oh yeah, I'm going to be back at whatever, this date. And then if it hit the date, I just kind of like felt discouraged, you know?
Of course, yeah.
So that's why I didn't really like telling people like, oh, I'm going to be back at a certain point, because you never really know. Yeah. Like my body will come back when it wants.
Well, and the mental warfare that you go through by subjecting yourself to that, it's just, there's no point.
It's not worth it.
But I do like, obviously there was no, long-term projected date. It's like, okay, if all these things go well, we're thinking about this time.
Yeah.
But that moment where Michelle says, okay, you passed it all.
Yeah.
You're in. Talk about that.
Okay, yeah. So that was a few weeks ago. It was right before, okay, so we went to like play UNBC. We had to go fly there. And the day of, well, okay, so the flight was the next day at like 9 a.m. And I had a test the day before. And it was just a strength test that we have to do. It's basically it tests your quad strength and your hamstring strength.
Yeah.
So you have to get hooked up in this machine. It was really cool. Hooked up in this machine, kick out and kick in to like be able to test your quad and your hamstring strength. And I had done that test a few times. You're supposed to get like a certain like symmetry with both legs. That's how you can pass. Is if both of them are like the same strength, which is hard enough, because you have dominant and non-dominant like legs. But I had to pass that test, and I'd done it a few times. One time I passed, but he said it needed to be stronger. Like my strength and conditioning coach, he said it needed to be stronger. So like I kept doing that, and it was the day before the flight that I actually passed. And when he told me, he was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, this is great. Like, you passed. And I was like, no way. Because I went into that test not really thinking I was going to pass, or like, at least they were going on a trip. So like, if I didn't pass this test, we could do another one like in a few days, So I passed, and I was like, oh my gosh, does this mean like I'm going to BC, right? So it was super cool. And I told Michelle like, hey, like I just passed the test. Like, what does this mean? And she was like, oh, like I'll try and get a plane ticket for you. She got it. So it was super surreal. It was nice.
What a quick turnaround too.
Seriously.
Like, honestly.
Did you see the court that weekend?
I did.
Oh man.
I did. So that was the first game back.
That is so fun.
So like just the exact same question, just a little bit further down the road, like that feeling of getting the okay, and then within probably 24 hours,
seriously,
taking you're gone,
and then you're on a court.
Yeah.
When you step onto that court, because I think one of the best parts about this conversation is the reality of sports and injury, and thinking about being injured for a year.
It's a long freaking time.
A year.
Yep.
That is far too long.
Yep.
So it's like that moment that you get to step on the court and you're warming up with your team and everyone's like, come on,
I know,
Sam,
it was so
let's
cool.
go.
It was so cool.
Like it probably made it all worth it.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Was there ever a point where you were like, too much? The training, the recovery, was there ever a point where you're like, this might be too much? Or was it always like, I'm getting over it and I'm getting back on the court?
Okay, well, I feel like with any like injury, you kind of have like the ups and downs, right? So there kind of was a time when I would like, it was hard mentally because this is what my strength and conditioning coach said. And like, it really stuck with me because it's literally explains my whole recovery process to like a T. It's like you do extra work and like put in more time to be able to do less, you know?
Yeah.
You put in extra time and I'm still not allowed to go on the court. I'm still not allowed to practice. I'm still not allowed to scrimmage, you know? And that really stuck with me because there's a point when I was like super down about that. And I was like, you know, I just have to get through this because at one point I will be back.
Yeah.
So
huge.
Huge. That. I love that.
That's,
right?
Yeah. Like
I loved that too.
That was so good.
I literally put that on my notes. I was like, wow, that is exactly it.
Yeah.
Exactly it.
That is so true.
Oh man, what are you taking in school?
I'm in the Faculty of Science. So
okay,
like science degree.
Science buddies.
Yeah.
I'll drink in the middle.
How did you find? Did you struggle at all with keeping up with your schooling in that recovery process, just in terms of a different dedication of time or a different mental fortitude that it took in that recovery process that affected your schooling at all?
For me personally, not really. It was hard, but I felt like school was kind of like my like escape where I don't have to think about that. So it was different. Plus, like fortunately for me, it wasn't like I missed like a whole season. I had the summer to like also do that. Point. So I think because of that, I didn't really struggle with it that much because I wasn't in school.
I've never heard somebody that school was their getaway.
Except
probably I was like right in the middle of the two people in the world that would be like, school was my escape.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably like come out of my
running to the campus bar. I'm like, currently
I know how to do that too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we can all do that. But
no, because I do think, you know, it's something that we've all had injuries in our like youth athletic. It's just on such a different scale. When it means this much, right? Yeah. But to hear the amount of resources and people and then my heart also says back to like, I'm always grateful that I was in a team sport. I'm a team sport person. Yeah. Because I think I'm not sure that I have the mental fortitude myself if I was an individual sport athlete, if that would happen if you're a golfer, a tennis player, and I know you have a team, but it's not the same.
It's not the same because I'm sure there was days where you were kind of, you know, just going through the routine of the day and then you walk into the locker room and you get to see that infectious. And it's funny because we've noticed every time that we mention the locker room to athletes that are on the show, they smile immediately.
Yeah.
They smile immediately.
Honestly, it's the part. I know everyone misses the sport. Like I have a group chat with my girlfriends that I went to university with. Yeah. And that's the locker room today, right? Yeah. That's the 12-year, 13-year post athletics. Right. For me, that is the locker room because that's the part that it is so hard to replace like that.
Yeah. That is so true. I honestly didn't even think about that before, about like being like an individual sport like athlete, like having to go through an injury like that without having like any teammates or anything. Like,
because we've seen, especially with like an ACL injury, like that happens to golfers a lot with their swing coming across. And it's like, you're doing it alone. Like you were saying, like you always have your support team and stuff, but that team atmosphere is so different where you're just going to have like the idiot on the other side of the room say the weirdest thing and you're like, what are you talking about? Right. And it just brightens your day up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Not saying that teammates are idiots, but I just envisioned one of the girls that I used to sit across the room from.
we can all envision them.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, you know, like I know we've got a few more things we want to talk about, but congratulations, because I think that's
thank you.
I think obviously it takes a lot of time and dedication and a love of a sport to want to come back through that. So
absolutely,
that's very fun. I know Addie has the schedule up here. We do want to give you an opportunity to plug where people can watch some University of Manitoba Bison basketball because it looks like we got a little home stretch here.
Yes. You can watch it at U of M at the Investors Group Athletic Center. We play this weekend. We play against McEwen.
You betcha.
Yeah. Okay. When I first, because I've never heard of that school. So this is my second year. And for COVID, we didn't really play like all the teams.
Yeah.
So I didn't really heard of the school before. And I thought it was Mace One or something like that, you know? I was like, what? Yeah. So now I'm just trying to make sure I get
crazy Mace ones.
Didn't have the big E.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking.
Mace one.
Yeah. But we play McEwen this weekend, Friday at 6:00 and then Saturday at 5:00.
Yes. And then let's talk about Crosstown.
Oh, I was gonna.
Feb 3-4. Oh, sorry, dude.
No, man. Because I was just gonna feed off what you were saying because it's a home and home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's talk about because I'm always down for a good old rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always in for a rivalry chat. Big fan. The fact that Winnipeg has probably one of the biggest rivalries in women's basketball in Canada.
Yeah.
Right here. And it's going to be coming up in 2 weekends and you play a home at home.
I know. Home and home. Yeah.
So it's like, is that every single time where you guys play at Investor Group and then at the U of W?
Okay, I'm not completely sure because like my first year, we kind of played both teams like double. So we played 2 there, 2 here. I'm not sure.
It looks like they might sneak you guys in on home and aways where it fits because you had a weekend BU Winnipeg split.
Okay,
Yeah.
Westman. Is that a rockin' atmosphere? I'll be honest, I've never been to a Bison Westman game before.
I think it's pretty intense. It's our rival, so obviously everybody's like fired up and stuff.
Yeah, do you have any like high school like people you grew up with? Yeah.
I know a lot of people on the team, and that's what kind of makes it fun too.
Oh, for sure.
Because like when you actually know them, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna like cross you
what's
up,
up?
you know, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
something, and then it's like kind of personal, but obviously like it's not that serious. Like I still like love them and all, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
just when you get on that court, it's like we're not friends no more.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Addie and I have fought in arenas, don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how we became friends.
It is actually. Yeah, we'll give a very quick version of this because we talked about it on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But Addie and I once tried out for Team Manitoba together when we were very little.
Okay.
And we had heard that people thought that Addie and I despised one another, and so I just walked up to her and said, "Buddy, I hear you hate me." And she's like, "I don't hate you." I was like, "Well, I don't hate you." And so then we became friends. But yeah, it was like this big thing because I grew up in the country and she was in the city. So we totally understand the scope of that rivalry.
No, it's honestly like my favorite games to play though against U of W.
It has to be.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. There's a different level of like pressure. You know, when it's your rival, it's like,
For sure.
I can't let you win this game.
Love it.
Talk about where you guys match up in the standings against them. Do you know? We can look it up.
I think they're like higher up in the standings. The only games that we've like won against is against Brandon. So, but we definitely did have a harder first half. Like we played a lot of like really high ranked teams.
Yeah.
So what's tough. But we're hoping to come back with.
You know what though, and you guys have had like when you look at your results, I know the win-loss column isn't what you want to see, but you're competing in all of these games, right?
Absolutely. And so because this is a pretty decorated preseason, like Cape Breton, you guys. So did you make the trip to Fredericton?
I did not.
No, that's
No.
This is.
Yeah, I was injured back then, so I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't go to that one. I wish I did though.
Oh, for
cool.
sure. Yeah, no.
Super cool.
Definitely be able to get on.
You still got time.
I was just going to say, like,
I do.
absolutely. Because you got McEwen, Westman, and then you end off in BC.
Yes.
Very cool.
Thompson Rivers Wolfpack. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big name.
Never even heard of it.
No, me neither.
I'm excited to play them though.
Oh,
It'd be cool.
Totally.
Absolutely. So let's talk about as now you're moving into the last stretch of the season.
Yeah.
What's the vibe check in the dressing room? Like, I know that those last 2 games were super tight. Like with the Griffins, with you coming into 2 weekends at home, the vibe has got to be high.
For sure. It definitely is. I think a lot of us are in the mindset of like okay, we have to make these last games count, you know? Because we even had like a talk today, like at practice, like these are some of our, like the players on our teams, like last seasons, you know? And they don't want to really go out like with us not having that same like intensity and like effort. So the vibe's like, we're ready to go. I'm excited for every game day to come. So.
That's right.
And I think that's the best part of when athletics matters.
Yeah.
Like and I'm not even talking like, you know, that even from high school, like, or playing TAP program, like it doesn't necessarily need to be at a university level, but when it matters like this, there's no, you got pride. You're wearing a sweater that means something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you call them sweaters in basketball? No.
Jersey.
Jerseys.
Oh, the jersey?
Jersey.
I know, but in hockey, it's like
a sweater. Yeah.
Is it a sweater in hockey?
Well, we call it a sweater. It's
like,
not really a sweater.
It's not a sweater.
Anyway, but yeah, you have this level of pride for it. And so, yeah, it means something regardless of the last game of the season. And if there is no postseason, it still matters. You're repping something that means something.
Yeah.
Because it's always, and that's one of the things that like when I played, it was always for the seniors. When you got down to the last, it's for the seniors. Sure. Everything that you do, and I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but we had a 5th year tour.
No, I've
when
never
you're
heard
on the road. Let's see what your schedule. Let's break down your schedule when you're on the road. You play at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday, Saturday. Oh, so you're going to be having a night in BC
on Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday night, a little 7 p.m.
Like
rep.
We usually always kind of do that, you know, Saturday nights if we're like traveling and stuff like that.
Could you imagine if your 5th year last game is in Kamloops, British Columbia?
Say, if you're from Kamloops and you have any suggestions of what these ladies should get up to on Saturday night,
Kamloops, let's hear from you. Let's get the Bisons going on February 11th.
I'm down for that. I'm down.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
That is funny.
That's so funny.
Because when I hear about the Bisons, the women's hockey team talked about it when they were on the show last week was, they're done at 2 p.m. on the Saturday. They fly out. And I was like, no, thank you.
No.
Don't you have your Saturday night on the town? And they're like, no, we come home, we relax on Sunday. I'm like, I would be very different. Right? Something's changed. They're more mature now, I guess.
Mature. They're pretty early games then.
Very early.
2?
They have had some odd 2 o'clockers.
I could not imagine playing at 2. One time, like I think it was preseason, our team, I wasn't there, it was in BC, I think. They played at like 9 a.m.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was like, how are you even awake by then?
That's
and like
right.
your whole that is hard because you have and I don't care what sport you play, you have a ritual.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, most people's ritual isn't like cereal.
It's
no.
That's so funny. And literally what was going through my head, and this is so funny, is I was going to ask her her rituals.
Nap?
How do you have a pregame nap if you're
set your alarm for 4? Gotta sleep. 4.
Nap by 6.
Yeah. And so we have our usually, because our games are usually at like 5, 6. So we have like our shoot in the morning. So it's just like a little practice. You're going over a couple things, like maybe some plays and stuff. And then we usually have like our pregame like pump. So it's like a little lift to get your body going. So I couldn't imagine playing that early because you'd have to squish all that in, you know, so like in the morning.
Skip because we would
have to skip something because you couldn't probably play right after you did like a little workout.
Just a little lift and then run onto the court right up.
Yeah.
Gas.
Yeah.
Are you the type of athlete that's like eats the same thing, wears the same thing? Are we that ritual oriented?
Are we washing our socks or are you stinky?
I'm more so washing. I don't know. I'm not really I'm not really that like ritual themed. I kind of do have to get in like a little mindset. I like taking a nap, but like if it's too long, like whenever I take naps, I'm not like a 20-minute nap type of person. I can't get up in that 20 minutes. So I try and avoid the nap just so I don't like feel super tired and like groggy in the game,
Right.
You should see this one. Like it's incredible how you sleep. It just doesn't matter where. Yeah, literally like that.
Yeah.
Give me a wall and a chair. And as long as I can rest my body, it is because I am not a napper.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
not one iota of a hope am I having pregame naps. The music thing, like I gotta have like there's a mood for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be a vibe check.
Nap not included. But I'm the same page as you. Wash my shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. I don't
Especially hockey.
right?
Hockey stuff. I played hockey. That stuff stinks.
Oh my
like,
god!
how do you even wash it? Like,
Yes.
it stinks.
I know.
I cannot
It's a wild
imagine.
one.
I'm a no sockers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like rotting. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's a wild one, but
sure.
the rituals do get you. Like they'll get you
It's
big
even
time.
I took my niece to the outdoor rink. I'm a left skate before right skate person. That's about the only gear ritual I have.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Left
yeah.
skate, right
yeah.
skate. Put my right skate on. Took my right skate off.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
like wheeling around a oval, an outdoor pathway. No cares in the world.
Yeah.
I'm not in hockey equipment. I just have skates
You
on. And
gotta
I'm like,
shiver up your spine,
like,
and it's like,
nope, take that off.
Yeah. Not feel right.
That on.
you did your right foot.
I couldn't.
That's
even,
crazy.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
a
crazy
thing.
how it works.
It's a
Like,
thing.
no, it's insane. So if you were to like, now I'm just going to ask you a bunch of random questions.
Okay.
If you were to put a bet, are you a betting woman?
Not really, but
Come
I'll
on.
do it right now.
Okay. I like that.
If
You're
you
going
can
to
bet your
toss some.
money.
Yeah. Are we using
It's
your
not
wallet?
mine.
Who do you think is going to win the WNBA game that's in Toronto? Do you think the Chicago Sky or the Minnesota Lynx?
I'm going to go with Chicago Sky. Because I heard that's your team, and I'm not trying to get on your bad side.
Let's
Not trying to get kicked off the podcast.
Chicago Sky,
And
all
you
the
know,
way.
if you have listened to any of the episodes of Beauties, you know that I'm now taking the Minnesota Lynx.
We always got to bet.
Oh, yeah.
We always
I
got to
mean, I
bet.
guess you have to,
Yeah,
can't bet the
so-
same.
We
So
always have
I
to have
usually
fun in
let
that.
Addie take whoever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm going with the other one.
Okay.
So we got Lynx to Sky.
Yeah.
That's going to be, what do you like as a basketball player that's grown up in this country? What does that mean to you to finally have a WNBA game played in Canada?
I think it's like super cool. Like growing up and stuff like that, you don't really see like a lot of like high level like basketball, like women's basketball, right? So all it was like NBA, you know, and like even just having like Toronto like Raptors and stuff like that. Like that was like my favorite team. So like I loved it because it was like a Canadian team, right? And like I could just imagine like if I had that like women's like Canadian team, like I would have been rooting for them like from the start, you know? Like so I thought that was super cool. And I think I don't know. I just love that idea. And it should have been sooner, but you know, I'll take what I can get.
Exactly.
That's right. We'll take it, baby.
It is though, you know, and it is. I love this country so much. I'm a very, very proud Canadian, but we do get gypped when it comes to sports,
Right?
Because even when we talk about so there's a bar in Portland. It's called the Sports Bra.
Yes, I watched that clip of you guys talking
Okay,
about it.
yeah.
So cool.
I know.
I love that.
Right? But you think about here, so this is our comment because we had said, yeah, like maybe there's an opportunity to do something like that in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And my response was, Addie, the TVs would be black.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to find youth sports. We have no major athletic anything really here the way they do there, where they have the WNBA, the NWSL. You know, even when you look at LPGA, I know Brookie Henderson just won past weekend. But we don't have that same representation of sport. And so it's funny how much one game matters.
Right?
One game.
Yeah. Like when you put it like that, you can't even fathom the amount of attention. Well, we've talked about going. How do we get to be a part of this huge thing that is going to be coming to this country? And it's like,
yeah, I looked up flights to Toronto for one basketball game.
yeah. Like,
Why? Because it's an impactful, important event.
yeah. And then people,
For it to come, so that the next Sam's of basketball or whatever, like when we think about this soccer league that's up and coming. Now we have 2 PHF teams here in Canada.
Yep.
Like we're starting to see that momentum go, but we're a long way off. And back to my ranting of U Sports, you know, when I'm in a rink and I have a dad that says, hey, I went to the Bison game on Friday because I heard it on your podcast, that to me is saying, very cool that you're listening to the podcast. Yeah. So I love you for that. Thank you for being here. Thank you. But I am just going to continue to hound on the fact that if they're finding out from the podcast, it means that it's not out there enough.
Right.
People don't know. And that's why it's so important for you to say, hey, come down to IGAC. We're playing at 6 o'clock on Friday, 5 o'clock on Saturday. We got a home and home the next weekend with the Westmen, because it matters that people hear. So if you are listening to this podcast, even if you're not a huge basketball fan, become one, because it is local sports. We have local people. It's entertaining. They're incredibly athletic. We have people who are coming back from injuries. It's great entertainment to watch. And it's, how much is it to get into a basketball game?
I believe it's $10.
Okay.
10 bones?
10 bones.
Yeah.
10 bones.
Y'all take your kids to the
Students,
movies.
getting free though.
There you go.
Students, if you're listening,
hey,
getting free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So go in and support it.
Yeah.
And when you're there, take a freaking picture and post about it so that your buddies know that it's there. And that's the momentum that needs to start spinning.
Yeah, I agree. And then to even double down on just what you were saying about going there and just experiencing the atmosphere of IGAC, which I think is one of the best facilities in Canada, is also the fact that you could walk down a hallway and at the same time experience the hockey game.
Yeah.
And then go underneath and then experience the track and field.
Yeah, so that was me on Friday. I was so torn. I said to Ash, it's like, we went, the race was at 6:30. It was actually at 6:40. Your guys' game was at 6. The hockey game was at 7.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we can't do them all.
Yeah.
And we had a hockey game across the city that we were going to for 8:30.
Yeah.
That's how accessible it is. You park in the same parking lot.
You can go to all of them.
You can go to all those things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Share your time. Share your love.
even we have like the Winnipeg Ice there too that plays. And like, I mean, if you're going to the Winnipeg Ice game, we usually play like right before them. Yeah. So if you're going to the game, might as well just watch some basketball a little bit before, you know? Get some basketball in. And then it's literally in the same building. So
I love that plug.
And I honestly think too, and that's the accessibility, you're parking in the same parking lot. I don't think people get that. Like it's literally within 5 minutes walking distance between each facility. Yeah. Like Winnipeg, like
it's even less if you're like me. And I didn't even notice. It said employees only. And I just was like, oh, here's a door.
Yeah.
And then here's a door. And then I was like, wow, that's fast. And then I was like, oh.
Oh, and then you're right in the hallway there. Yeah, I know exactly where you were.
Oh, this is not. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Just go through the normal correct doors.
Yeah. It's still short distance.
Don't be like me.
It's definitely still a short distance.
Oh man, very, very cool. You know what? Let's give you an opportunity one more time to plug. Obviously, you got a lot of love for this program. So plug where you're at. Make sure people know.
Yeah, okay. So this weekend, both at the Investors Group Athletic Center, we are playing MacEwan University both times. 6 o'clock on Friday, 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah.
Be there.
Be there. And how do people follow you?
Follow me?
Yes.
Like on like
social. Insta, social. Okay. They gotta follow you.
My Instagram is at sam.onyebuchi. I don't know if you'll know how to spell my last name, but it's ONYEBUCHI. There. Yeah. That's on Instagram.
Very cool.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we are so appreciative for you coming here and telling us your story. I think it is one that needs to be heard more and more and more, because the mental side of sport is so important. And you literally came back after a year of training. So if there's no better way to cheers off a show, I think it's just saying congrats to you, buddy. Yeah, thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo.
Awesome. And Cowie, final words.
Woo. Thank you for being here. If this is your first episode here at Beauties Sports, make sure to head on over to Instagram and follow us at Beauties Sports Talk. That's where we are the most active. You can find Addie at Addie Miles Abbott. You can find me at Cowie14. You can find Sam one more time at sam.onyebuchi. Figure out how to spell that. You might have to rewind. The last thing I will say is that we are working on some new merch that you will see if you're watching this thing. I've got a hat on. We've got a hoodie on. We've got some new things coming. So you can check those out at beautysports.com. You can go and find the shop section. One more time, like we said, we appreciate you being here. Make sure you come back next week for another episode. Addie, always a fun one, my friend.
and we will see you all next week.